Hey guys, Richard at Riding Zoom here doing my latest video review. This is for my Star Wars book that I've just finished, like literally the last 20 minutes or so. Book 15 of 19 of the New Jedi Order, Force Heretic 1 Remnant. So before I start, as I usually say, spoilers for the NJO and entire EU, but only up to this book. I mean, there are some EU books like Crystal Star or Darksaber I've not read. I kind of just last year before these read the essential ones. I've still got some in the shelf like Wraith Squadron that apparently unessential, so I've not read every ebook. Hell, who has? But yeah, only so yeah, no spoilers beyond this because mainly I don't know what's going to happen next other than the bits I've heard along the way. So yeah, spoilers for basically anything from the EU up to this book, which came out in 2003. And then I'll mention the films, including Disney's one, so there are spoilers for there as well, just to warn you. So yeah, let's get started. Quick shout out to the other things at the minute. Final Fantasy, no particular reason, just drinking from a Final Fantasy 7 mug. So I've ordered Final Fantasy 4 recently on eBay, Dragon Quest 4 as well, so I guess it's that. And then Yoshi fits at the top. And then as I'm watching Better Call Saul right now, every Tuesday now it's back on Netflix. One of the last shows I'll ever need Netflix for. Gus, one of the greatest villains, who of course appears in Star Wars, like the actor as well. Him in there. So yeah, on to the video review. So yeah, much like the last ones, I'm not going to like drag this out. Good book, not my favourite. You know, Traitor and Vector Prime are still the top ones. But I mean, Vector Prime was a huge video because it's the first one I've ever done. I just felt like I was talking and grieving things like Chewbacca's death. But Traitor was also as good as book. As good or not as good, I don't know which one. But I didn't spend as long because I don't really need to. I kind of think I've improved my vlogging or video reviewing skills in time. In that time since then, since what, January. But yeah, so it's just really the important stuff. So yeah, the plot summary. Yuuzhan Vong still of Coruscant. Jason obviously escaped a couple of books before. The book's not about taking Coruscant back. It's probably been saved for the last book, though. I mean, that's obviously the big fight against Yuuzhan Vong, and imagine taking the Republic's home planet. Makes sense. Although with this, the New Republic is no more. It's the Galactic Alliance now. They've realised they need to just change their ways to defeat Yuuzhan Vong, and they basically dismantled the government. They got a new senator called Cal Omas, who's actually a pretty good one. It's yeah, I'll just check if there are any other books which I've not read which have him in, because he's pretty good. He actually works with the Jedi, and Luke finally sets the Jedi Council up. 12 members, like in the prequels, and it's half Jedi, half non-Jedi. You know, obviously the Jedi have got the power to take control of the Senate. Hell, it's what Palpatine tries to like pass off to the public in his so-called assassination attempt. Now I always wondered how in episode 3 that worked. Palpatine, presented, this is the book, presented evidence all day long. In the book, he tapes the confrontation for the Jedi, but then of course edits it out. And yeah, it's what he tell everyone that he was attacked by 4 Jedi. You know, they used their powers to change his appearance, and he survived. It's like, what? How did he survive? He'd have this figure in black. Well, Anakin wasn't even a figure in black at that point. He hadn't even officially left the Jedi Order, because in his report, Anakin was at the Jedi Temple during the attack, and the galaxy believe he's dead. So yeah, who exactly saved Palpatine? I wonder. But either way, Palpatine's claimed that Jedi wanted to take over the Republic. Clearly, people think that sort of thing is possible. I mean, hell, even in the Darth Plagueis book, Palpatine said he thought the Jedi should have taken over the Republic because they might actually run it properly. Because obviously his goal is not only to save the Republic from itself, but run it as a dictatorship, and all for the worse in the process. But yeah, because of the idea that Jedi could take control of the Republic or influence senators, they set up a Jedi Order, Jedi Council, half Jedi, half non-Jedi, and it's a really good idea. And it's the sort of thing I would love to see in films. Again, why did Disney not adapt this? I came across a Google search recently. It said, "Are the Yuuzhan Vong too scary for Disney Star Wars?" I didn't read the article because it probably have spoilers the whole thing, but it made me think, yes, they probably are. Humanoid aliens from another galaxy that hate machinery and want to like kill everyone they believe is a non-believer on a mission by the gods. It's monstrous stuff, but it's the perfect follow-up. Original trilogy, it's the villains, like the foot soldiers are stormtroopers. Prequels, it's droids, and the sequels, yeah, humanoid aliens that hate everything the people of the galaxy represent. It's a perfect idea for like a new set of villains. Why they scrapped it, God knows. I can only assume that when Disney hired the biggest names possible, like J.J. Abrams, Duff, Jar Jar, etc., they weren't fans of this whatsoever, whereas the likes of Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau were. But yeah, oh well, what can you do? They can never do it again unless it becomes a cartoon. But I do wonder, could these have been too scary for live action? Probably, but hell, Star Wars went 12A/PG-13 in 2005. Rogue One did, and surely something from the Disney trilogy must have been as well. So they can easily do it. Yuuzhan Vong aren't exactly 15 or 18. It's not the 80s anymore, where like Terminator 1 is an 18 then, but would be like a 12 now. Okay, no, I won't go to 12, 15. A stretch. But yeah, maybe. But yeah, effectively, it's back to this review. So the Luke sets up a Jedi Council with the newly elected Minister of State, but they become the Galactic Alliance instead. And they just realised, they've got to just do their bit, get more planets into the system. That includes the Empire. And just by complete luck, Luke and some Jedi show up when the Empire are under attack. Of course, and it's a pretty brutal defeat, but of course the Galactic Alliance help them, and the Empire are able to completely humiliate Yuuzhan Vong. And Gilad Pelayan, I think it's pronounced. He one of the only Imperials of any sense. He realizes there's no more just hiding in a corner, because they realise Yuuzhan Vong ignored them because they just aren't important. And that's all not good for Empire, the Empire, where they believe that they are important. Even the Moffs eventually accept this. So it ends with the Empire joining the Galactic Alliance, which is pretty cool. So Gilad Pelion was one of the few smart Empire guys who would actually do what he had to. Well, he learned from Thrawn, so you can't really argue with that. But so that's that plot. The Empire involved. Han, Leia, and some other Jedi are off on missions. Tahiri's having some sort of Force-induced nightmares, and Jason and Danny have a romance developing, which is pretty cool. Jason's sort of speaking for Pelion when he's ill, because he's going to nearly kill him, and when they try and enslave the planet the Empire are based on. And it's looks like, who knows, maybe at the end of all this, Jason is going to become part of the Imperial Remnant, because they're not being forced to give up their name or anything. They're just allying themselves permanently with the Galactic Alliance, which is pretty cool. Luke and Mara off on that mission to help them as well. Jaina, Jags, sort of the relationship, they're just kind of protecting the skies as well. Doesn't sound all that exciting, but yeah, I liked it. There's a lot of stuff going on in there as usual. So I wonder how much time is passing, because ultimately they're looking for a planet that literally is able to escape, travel through hyperspace. So I think the Death Star in Rogue One, when it flies through hyperspace to get to places, and that's how they end up meeting the Empire first on the pursuit for that. And this is just part 1 of 3, so that story is not done. It does feel like Act 1, but quite a lot goes on in the meantime. It doesn't feel like anything as important as what we've seen in other books happens, but there's a lot of important stuff going on in here, and I liked it. You've got stuff for each of the characters still. You've got some of the characters like Saba, who haven't done as much as others. Gets a large amount. Danny and Jason. That obviously in one of the earlier books, Jason rescued Danny, and they're a teenage crush on her. Jason's still a teenager, but it seems to develop into actual romance, which is pretty cool, like Anakin and Tahiri had in one of the older books. And it's just quite a feel-good one. There's not that much death from the good guys' side. You've got the new government being set up, the Jedi Council being beaten, set up as well. Got a public Jedi ceremony, so that people obviously have faith in Jedi and want to see them. It makes you think that it's so different from what was going on in the prequel era. The Jedi were very shut away from the world, taking on council taking on New Republic missions, always at the request of the Supreme Chancellor or other politicians, but they kind of weren't really doing enough for the local people. That sort of gets mentioned in the Clone Wars show, that the Jedi aren't loved by by a lot of people in the public because they're just not really there for them anymore. And so I'm like about these. Luke is not, he's making mistakes, but nowhere near the extent of the prequel mistakes made. Another thing I hate about Disney trilogy, where we never get to see any of the good things Luke did, and meant to assume he was just a total failure from the beginning. But in this, Luke's made some good accomplishments. But I've heard some things about if this isn't New Jedi Order, it could be other books, that Luke displays absurd force power levels. Because I think the good thing about the good side of the Force is it's ultimately about a lot of restraint and not well and truly giving into all the power you got, the way the dark side works with Force lightning, like we've seen Jason and Jaina do in previous books when they've been really mad. Not using those powers is more just using the Force for understanding, defense, etc., knowledge, all of that. But I've heard Luke's I think I heard somewhere, I just could be completely wrong, this was years ago, that Luke is able to destroy a planet with the Force or something. I don't think that was true. I think that was a massive exaggeration. Maybe it's I don't know, from one of the Jedi Academy games or something. Oh, and I'll mention that now, actually. Having not played but watched the Jedi Academy games, obviously they were made years before mid to late 90s. Kyle Katarn, that name comes up. A lot of people seem to love him, and I imagine he's like the main character in the Legacy of the Force, the next big series, but his name actually gets dropped. Luke just casually mentions Kyle Katarn's name and talking about other Jedi. It's like, hang on, I know he appeared, his first media as one of the comics before this, but his first ever true mention in these books, again, he could have appeared in like Children of the Jedi or Young Jedi Knights or something, but like, what, is that it? And then, yeah, thinking back to it, he's not appeared once. It's like, come on, I don't know exactly what he does, but I just know people love him and he's considered like one of the best Jedi, after Luke. So, yeah, I would say he's probably a major part of Legacy of the Force, along with Jason, Jaina, Kip, Corran, Tahiri, assuming they all survive, because I don't actually know what happens in the other bits, but not enough to really put a spoiler warning up or anything definite. But yeah, it makes me wonder, they finally drop his name in here. It doesn't appear in the beginning where you've got like a list of, just show it all to all of you. Yeah, Dramatis Personae. Basically, it's just a list of all the major people in each book. His name doesn't appear in here, but Luke is just talking about various Jedi, and that name comes up. It's like, come on, where is he? Maybe he's in the next one, Force Heretic 2, or maybe it's nothing till Legacy of Force, who knows. And speaking of which, why is it Legacy of Force not Legacy of the Jedi? Is it like, this isn't the new Jedi Order, so the next book is the Legacy the Jedi leave, not the Force leave. So like, well, we'll see when we get there. That'll be a while off, because video overrunning, but I'll quickly go through it again, just because why not? There's no deadline. The plan was always read a bunch of books tying into New Jedi Order, like it's the Empire trilogy. These came out recently. I'm not a big fan of the Legend Essentials book. It looks kind of plain, to be honest. The original covers were incredible, but with these three, I was made like new copies for myself. I have no issue with secondhand copies. I mean, yeah, it's very creased down the spine, and when you open it and it just sort of drops open the page, you can sort of see like the lines when it's a bit close to the base. It don't bother me. I mean, I've bought all of Legacy of Force in like new copies in the last few months. Unfortunately, some say Legends on the strip and some don't, and it don't bother me. But nice to have an entire series. I've got with the Darth Bane trilogy. Book 1 doesn't. Book 2, 3 say Legends, but okay. But what was I saying? Yeah. So I was reading like the ones that basically tie into New Jedi Order, like all the ones that just focus on the young Solo children, and other ones like the Corellia trilogy, for example, because obviously the Solo twins are young there, and obviously Anakin as well. They're like, well, they're not that young in that one, but they're like, I don't know, 10 or so. But yeah, read those. Enough of them anyway. So Wraith Squadron unfortunately got skipped, even though Rogue Squadron did not, and those books were great. Then it was New Jedi Order, and then it's the prequel ones I reread, like Labyrinth of Evil and Dark Lord. Ones I've never read before, like Outbound Flight, Shatterpoint, Darth Maul book that ties into Phantom Menace. I've ordered a copy of New, waiting for that to arrive because my original one was terrible. And the Republic Commando books. I'm going to skip Republic Commando for now. I read the last 2 years ago, but don't really want to read them again when it's ultimately delaying other ones. But yeah, read the New Jedi, read prequels, Legacy of the Force, and then the original trilogy ones like Thrawn and Wraith Squadron. And then I think after that, it's kind of just a mop up. Maybe I'll pick up Fate of the Jedi, but yeah, New Jedi Order, prequel era books, Legacy of the Force, and then OT era books, and then probably just a clean up. I don't really know anything about Fate of the Jedi, but it's just another long series. I don't know if I'm in a rush, but I've got plenty of other books. I'm doing a Harry Potter reread at some point as well, so there's a lot to get through. Also got tons out of the library recently. Shout out to Animal Farm. I'm just reading the graphic novel, which should actually be pretty cool. Obviously loved Animal Farm. It's just such a hopeless, sad story, and I didn't like the differences in the films, but yeah, book's great. But yeah, graphic novel version should be quite cool. Shouldn't take long to read. But yeah, on to Force Heretic 2 soon. But yeah, that's it. So, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. This video will probably go up quite quickly. I've been delaying a lot of mine so that they don't take too long. Delaying a lot of my videos just so they're like ready to upload, but don't go upload straight away. But these NJ ones I'll try and get pretty as I've made them. So yeah, in a couple of days after the Empire Strikes Back DVD review perhaps. But yeah, that's it. So until next time.